Welcome back to K-Chat with me, your host, Kayla Morales. We chat all things from love to business to spirituality, health and wellness, and everything in between. This is a space of growth, understanding, and meaningful connection. And I'm so excited to share this episode with you all. So let's get to chatting. Today's guests are dear friends of mine who not only started growing their own food, they started growing food for others. They started their own farm. Today, we're chatting with your local farmers of Lindfors Farms, Jessica Vandenbosch and Christian Lindfors. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How's it going? How are you guys feeling about the podcast? You feeling good?
Yeah. For sure.
All right, cool.
This is like Christian's dreams to be like.
No way.
Just like talking.
Would you like a podcast? Is that like on the list of to-dos?
Maybe someday.
Yeah, cool. It's cool. I've been enjoying it. It's kind of fun to like hear everyone's story and then just like, I don't know, the little like nuances in them, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah, let's start with how the idea for the farm came up and where and the process of starting it.
Okay. So it was right around the time that I met Jess. I was working a couple different jobs and working like night shift and then the following days, and I just finished college, so I was kind of like tired of. I wasn't really finding a lot of meaning in the work that I was doing, and so I kind of was like looking for something new to do, and so that's kind of like when I started, just kind of looking for anything that was kind of like different.
What else was like on the list of things that you kind of thought of doing, or was if there was a list?
Truthfully, I wanted to basically get like a homestead and live somewhere like off the grid and not have a job, kind of like be like a hippie.
Yeah.
That was kind of when we were talking about this, we were like trying to think back really to what it was. And yeah, it kind of like we did it all the way back down. We were like, okay, really, when we started looking into this, it was like you said, when we were kind of looking into like homesteading and just kind of like opting out of everything, you know, like we were like, how can we just like do things differently, and how can we, you know, what's life like not working the jobs that we're working, not, you know, on the traditional, like what is like an untraditional life path look like, and like what, you know, and we were looking up just like how do you do things like, you know, not we're like taught to do them, like, and that's kind of, so we just like in that process we stumbled upon people who were farming, and that was like their job was just to like farm, and they were making like a lot of money doing it, and we were like, how are these people like making so much money, like, you know, and on like small plots of land and stuff, like if you go on YouTube, there's like all these different people that make like hundreds of thousands of dollars on like small plots of land. And so that, like, we were intrigued. We were like, how do you do that? Like, wow.
Yeah,
especially
that's really
living
cool.
in a place where land is not, you know, there's not a lot of land here.
Yeah, not abundant, I guess. Cool. And then what was like the process getting started?
Well, it was kind of a long process, and really until this year, it was kind of up in the air a little bit. So we I think the very first thing that we did was, well, okay, so first of all, like, so kind of that same time that we were talking about, I was like growing weed in my closet, and so that was kind of like, you know, like I guess what every kid out of college in San Diego does. And we kind of started like growing some plants, like vegetable type plants also, because I was just kind of like, you know, why not? And I was like looking at the homesteading stuff, and so we started.
Wait, we have to tell them too though about like the YouTube videos and stuff, like the kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think we will.
Okay.
That was cute.
Yeah. So then basically next, we kind of took over her roommate's patio and like.
Yeah. So okay, so we're researching all this stuff about growing food. Like we just want to know as much as we can about growing food in general. Cause obviously, like you said, we were growing like weed, and I had like house plants and like,
Yeah.
like
What
plants.
phase was this? Was this Hillcrest house or this was before?
No, this was like Point Loma.
Yeah.
This was,
okay.
I still lived with a bunch of like boys.
Okay.
It was like, yeah, that was crazy.
And I was living with roommates. Yeah,
so before you guys,
before we lived together.
Yeah.
We kind of just like took over our common spaces with plants. Like I think I kind of just took over our entire side yard with like any bin that we could find that we could put soil in. Like literally, I'm not joking. Natalie and Kristen would probably like, if they were gonna laugh when they hear me talking about it.
Did those plants make it like? How far did they make it? No, okay, just curious.
No, because we still didn't really know like anything, and we didn't understand like, I don't know, just even like the positioning of the sun at that point in time. I feel like, like my patio was like shaded like half of the day, and we were like, and then we'd be like, oh, why aren't things growing, or why is like this growing better here than that, or I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so we had like literally my entire side yard planted up with like literally under the bed bins, like plastic bins of any pot we could find, anything. You could barely walk. So that was like step one, and then we just started like researching everything that we could.
So what was like your best resources in the beginning that kind of got you started? Well, if you can remember, if not, it's okay.
Oh yeah. So yeah, totally. Really early on, I found who I would consider to be my mentor, and his name is Curtis Stone. Curtis Stone, the Urban Farmer. That's I think his handle on YouTube, or I think it's the Urban Farmer Curtis Stone on YouTube.
Nice.
I'm sure you could have a link on that, but he basically has like everything urban farming. So that that was kind of the context that we were in at that point, which was like in the city.
Yeah, and that was like what was most relevant to us, as we were just trying to figure out with the space that we had, how could we, most efficiently grow things.
Yeah. Okay, so that's cool. And then what was step two?
Step two was kind of, well, it was weird. Things sort of accelerated pretty quickly after that. So we started looking on like
oh, you went to his course too.
Oh yeah, I went so I went up to Canada, and this guy who I'm talking about, Curtis Stone, he was having a course. I think it was like $1,000, and he was like, for people who want to actually like start a farm. I knew that I wanted to do that. I didn't have any money for it, so I asked my dad for a little bit of money to do that, and he basically gave me some money, and I went up there, and I literally like just started I learned from him. I saw his farm, how he operated, and then as soon as I got back, we started we kind of around the same time we started I started volunteering my time at Liberty Station Public Market, like doing their garden because it was abandoned, and
there were like a few raised beds outside of the market, and
you
kind of put those on.
That's pretty cool. That's like it's a good way to get involved in your community too, and investing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. So then, I remember kind of in the beginning, like around Hillcrest days, I remember you showing me, Christian, a chart of how you were kind of planning the actual garden and all of that out. I would love to talk about that.
Yeah, so that's in terms of like farmers, like that's a pretty common practice from what I understand. I think most farmers, and us especially, as we're kind of like expanding a bit, it's something that we have to do because the most important thing as a small farm is having consistency. And I think a lot of people who would want to get into farming might not understand why that's important. But in order to like keep any customer, whether it's a person or a restaurant or a grocery store or whatever, you have to you kind of have to know how long it's going to take for your things to grow, and like what like how much you're going to have, like at least like a ballpark kind of thing, and then like what your costs and everything are going to be. So in terms of like water, soil, whatever, that's fertilizer, whatever. So basically we early on, that was one of the things that I learned in his course. So
I was going to ask. Yeah,
and I had already been there at that point, so like I he gave me a bunch of resources, which anybody that's interested, I'd be happy to provide those as well. But basically just kind of coming up with like a well, I guess I should say that most of the things that I was growing at Hillcrest, I went and talked to some chefs and basically asked them what they wanted grown, because I had no idea like what should be grown. So I kind of like waltzed into some kitchens and kind of like was like, hey, like I'm a farmer, like I'm gonna grow for you. And they're like, oh, okay, like that's cool. And they're like, where's your farm? And I was like, it's my backyard. And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, to preface, Hillcrest, like we lived in Hillcrest after the Point Loma house. So we had like a tiny house with a huge backyard.
Yeah.
Which is like so wild for the neighborhood.
And you guys redid the whole thing. It was like a mess when you came in. Beautiful when you left.
It was really cool when we got in there too. I was actually just looking at pictures of it the other day, and it was so like overgrown in like a really natural, like beautiful way actually. And I remember being almost like reluctant to like tear it up for like right in the beginning. I was like, oh, but it has like so charming, like in its own way. But
I'm glad you loved it.
But it's still, it ended up being like a really great thing for us. I think that was like the first, well, technically that was like step 2. But as far as like us actually planning out things, like we were talking about, like planning out things and growing things for people and, like selling the things that we were growing, that was really like where all of that started. So,
I want to go back, Christian. What was like your biggest takeaway from the course that you took? Like maybe like the most valuable piece of info.
I think the thing that I noticed about him was the initiative that he takes. He's not. He basically taught me that most of the things that you need to run a business are skills. They're not like you're not born with them. So like he basically, I guess maybe the simplest way to put it is he taught me the practical skills of farming, which are like growing carrots or growing beets or growing tomatoes or whatever. But he also taught me the importance of like developing yourself and sort of like just basically taking where you're at and recognizing that you don't like it, that's a choice, and like you can be whatever you want to be, and that everything that you need you already have, and that you can just kind of like once you start putting in the time and the research and reading more and like listening to like people that are where you want to be, you will sort of like that's you're gonna just become that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you kind of like hone in on those skills.
Mm-hmm.
That was like really valuable, so thanks for sharing that. And I had a question and now I forgot it, so give me a second because I want to go back to something that you just mentioned.
Okay.
I was saying that was a good piece of that was a good piece of information to lead into how do you think farming has like supported you guys spiritually, because I feel like it is a spiritual practice to like work with food and to grow food and like all the intention you put into that and then give out to other people. I just want to like curious to hear about that for each of you.
Mm-hmm. I think you kind of, that's like, it's not surface level because it's nothing about it's really like surface level, but that is the basis of it all is like being able to provide for people and work with the land is that. And I guess for me, literally, like being able to be here, like at our farm, or just like, I don't know, just like whenever I'm here, most days I'm oftentimes like not wearing shoes and I'm just like walking around and like, like observing or like picking weeds or harvesting things or like, I don't know. And it's just like to be able to like do that and be, you know, like walking amongst all of these plants and things and like to just be there with my feet on the ground is to me like spiritual in a way. And it's often like, you know, I spend time like when I'm out there just like by myself. Like earlier I was doing this for like, I don't know, maybe an hour, just like picking weeds and stuff. And it's time that I get to like think about things and like, I don't know, just like observe and be. And so for me, that is that.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Thanks for sharing. What about you, Christian? Similar?
Well, I think I agree with all that stuff. First of all,
there's something about having your hands in the dirt, you know?
Yeah, it's actual like science, like earthing.
Yeah, it's like just like a connectivity that you can't really like explain, but you like feel it.
Yeah, it's like connecting to like Earth's frequency, so it's actually like beneficial in that way. Mm-hmm. I don't know all the science, I can't fully explain it, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Okay, cool. Okay.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I think so I was raised like as a Christian, and I was, you know, always taught about, I was at church a lot, and I remember hearing about the parables, and like as a kid that was something that always stuck out to my mind. It's something simple to understand. But I think what I didn't realize was like I wasn't a farmer, and I think that like during the Bible it was an agrarian society, so there's a lot of meaning in like a lot of the parables, or like a lot of like what the Bible talks about that you don't necessarily really understand until you like start growing, and then you realize like, oh, this is actually like way deeper than like what my understanding was before I was like actually doing, like, have this same career, you know? And so there's like, I was trying to think of an example earlier, but I can't think of one like off the top of my head.
That's okay.
But it's kind of just like, you know, like I'll just give one example. Like it's like, it's just so many metaphors for life, and like, you know, like the rocky soil and the weedy soil. That's and all that stuff. I was thinking of. Yeah. You know, it's like you understand that pretty basically. Like I think everybody does, but I think once you are like really like toiling with like a farm, like it takes on like a whole new meaning, and you're like, whoa, this is like actually like, you know, like not only like are the weeds like taking away from the crop, but you actually start to understand like what that metaphor represents in life. And then the other thing that I think in terms of like spirituality that I've recognized is, and this was something that we were talking about earlier, was, you know, I didn't know how to start this business. I didn't know how to like do any of this stuff, but I felt like as soon as I started finding out about it, like I started like recognizing that like it wasn't just like a passion, but it's like my calling. And I think that when, you know, I didn't know how to like bring people to me. I didn't know how to like get money. I didn't know how to like do all these things. But what I realized is like, there's things that you love, but then there's like your calling. And I think those are different things. And when you live your calling, everything, like all the dominoes just start falling. And you don't, you know, a lot of people, like sometimes like your relatives or your friends or whatever, they're like, they hear your ideas and they like want to like, they might want to kind of tell you that that's not your calling or something, but you know, but when you find your calling, like you'll know, and you just got to stay true to that. So I think that's really like the you know, that's like the biggest thing. And I think there's so many people that I think just like totally miss that in their life, and that's something that I think we all have one. So, you know, I just want to encourage people to like have just to encourage, like give people courage to like live out what that is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm happy for you. Like that's so cool that you found that, because once you have that, it's like you can kind of flow through life feeling a little differently, you know. I think also probably, I don't know for the two of you, but I would think in my mind that farming would also just, oh my God, just bring I guess, me closer, I guess, to everything, in that you have to understand like the seasons. You have to understand like living and growing things like in a different way. Like you kind of get more into like, I don't know, everything in a deeper way.
Intricacies of like the earth and ecosystems.
Yeah.
And just like the natural,
like elements.
ways that things, like the natural ways in which things function without us at all, is also something that's like been so crazy to me to like witness. Something like, simple as like if you have an infestation of like some sort of insect or something, that's because there's an absence of another insect that's supposed to be eating that one and keep like the entire thing like in balance.
Yeah.
Not just like something's off. So like even like learning things like that like when there's like weird like that's going on, it's because in the grand scheme of everything there is a way that it goes
in order for it to like flow naturally. Yeah.
Like everything naturally takes care of itself.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And reassuring in other ways, like that's definitely a good example to like think about in other areas of your life. I would like to go back a little and talk about what are the things that you started off growing, just because anyone starting off, it might be helpful for them.
It's just like salad and things like that.
Yeah.
With like the things that you want to eat,
What did you guys specifically start with?
Well, I think I said I grew weed first.
That
was like the plant for me. I didn't really like vegetables, to be honest, at all. Like I didn't like salad. I didn't like vegetables. Like I would tolerate them, but my diet has changed like completely. Like that's like my preferred diet now. But I think when I started off, I was just like, I think I didn't even know. I liked the idea more than actually like the lifestyle, I guess. And so I was like, oh, what do people like? Tomatoes? Okay, I'll grow tomatoes. Like, and I kind of like started off like that way. Like I was like, oh, what do you see in like every garden?
Yeah, kind of, like the typical, like, what do you, like when you think of a garden?
Yeah.
Maybe like a squash, like some zucchini.
I was going to say zucchini.
Carrots, lettuces, kale. Just like like maybe a pepper.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever eaten a squash like before I started growing them, like ever, like not once. And now that's like a ridiculous part of my diet. Like,
first started dating Christian, eating like literal like 7-Eleven hot dogs, and we just
it's okay. He's the new man now.
like wrappers of things in his car, and I'd be like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't.
See, I feel like Kempton still eats pretty poorly. Not 7-Eleven hot dogs, but there's some things that I'm like,
like, dude, and all it takes is like getting so yeah, you have that. That was what, like, that wasn't even like 3-4 years ago, and now he's like,
I mean, I still sneak some stuff every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I gotta have my Skittles every once in a while.
Balance.
Like whatever, yeah.
There's like one burrito shop at our house. We live in Crest now, and that's like the one thing that we have, and we frequent that place. So
that's a good thing to have.
Also, like, yeah, I hope that this is like, if you're like, I don't know, I hope people don't think that we're like only eat rabbit food.
No,
we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
I feel like you guys are pretty creative with cooking too. Like you make it good.
Christian's like gotten so good at cooking, and I mean, I think he probably was pretty good at it before, but now that we just like, our knowledge of ingredients and things is just broadened, and we can make like the best things with the simplest ingredients too.
Yeah, I feel like a part of that probably came a little bit with working with restaurants too, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say it's kind of funny that you're talking with us because like one of our primary customers, Donna Jean. You actually were the one that told me about that place, and that was where I
Yay.
So that's like the best relationship that I have with any of my chefs. And also that's like where like the chef Roy Elam and Tony Howell, they basically took me to their wing and like offered to teach me how to cook. So like, and it's a vegan restaurant. So like they're not making like a lot of imitation stuff. They're like actually like making like an eggplant, like the primary, like that's the meal.
Like a whole section on their menu is just like vegetable dishes.
Yeah, or like shishito peppers. And so I think
so good.
Yeah, that was a really unique opportunity, and like I totally am like really grateful and happy that you sort of encouraged me to go check them out, because that was probably, and then I think some of the other questions that you have further, I'm going to kind of talk about how funny it is, because it's kind of come full circle.
I really didn't know that.
Wow, this is like a full circle moment, huh? That's cool. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And there's like a lot more coming with that.
You can talk about it now if you want to. We can bop around.
Well, no, I mean, I'll wait. I think we'll get to it anyway. So
cool. Wow, that makes me feel so good. Thank you for sharing that. Like for real.
Yeah.
What do you think people should know before starting to grow their food? I think we talked mostly a little bit about it, but if there's any more tips or anything.
Well, I think.
Like I said, literally we were talking about this question earlier, and like
I think it's super relevant today, specifically today. Like
I think you're doing good work in getting the word out, both of you guys, of like making it more accessible for people,
Thank you. But that like literally our answer to that question is you don't have to know jack shit. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
Like just start. Like you don't need to know anything. Like if you like literally if you saw us when we started.
Yeah.
Then you can
just learn. That's all you have to do.
And I want to say one more thing too. Like the thing that I would say, like if you're starting off growing, is it's not just like a hobby or something like that. It's a political statement. And today is like inauguration day, and it's like going off and going haywire, and like it basically it's not just about growing food, but it's about taking control of it's from changing your mindset from a consumer to a producer. And I think that cycle kind of starts maybe with like your garden, and then that kind of goes into every other aspect of your life. And basically what that does is that decentralizes control. And I really believe firmly that it's
decentralizing control from the powers that be currently, and putting yourself in control, to make that work.
And I really believe that if people were willing to produce their needs, that there would be like a cultural revolution. And I think that cultural revolution has already started, and I think that it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was just gonna say, wow, like it would be really cool to think about what that would look like, if even like 30% of our population was growing their own, if like just like more people are growing their own food, how that would then affect other areas of our society. Yeah, that's interesting to think about. I haven't really thought about that. I'm gonna go start a farm.
Really, like I mean, it's all about if you're taking those steps to put yourself in control, then you're minimizing fear, kind of like it's a whole different mindset, because if you know that you're in control of like what's happening in your life, or if you're in control of what you're able to do about certain things, or just if you know that you got what it takes to like keep on going without help from other people.
Yeah, it sounds pretty powerful. You're not relying on any other source for like the major thing you're consuming, So
you're no longer, like you're not going to be afraid if the grocery store shuts down.
Yeah.
Line around the corner to get food if you know that you have stuff growing outside.
Yeah.
Or if you know how to make just like simple basic things like bread or, you know, like just stuff like that. Like if you know, it's really, it's putting power back in your hands as a person, as opposed to being reliant on what
other people. Yeah, I totally get you. I want to talk about how you guys have made a business out of this. What steps did you take? How did you reach out to restaurants to get your food in? And that.
Okay. I feel like that was a couple questions.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I bop. I try just to like remember, and then I look only when I have to. But we can totally go back to. I think I had. I think that's where we're at.
Okay. So.
How do we start?
Yeah, how do we start, and then how do we approach restaurants? Well, I'm going to answer the restaurant one first because it's like on the tip of my tongue, and I know I'm going to forget.
Yes.
So my family in Virginia, my cousin Michelle, she owns a restaurant group. They have, since I've been, I don't know, like probably 5 years old, they've had like probably over 20 restaurants.
Wow. And
they're like really established in, it's not my hometown, but it's like, it's a place that I kind of grew up going every weekend. And so like as a kid, I was always around restaurant owners. I was always around chefs. I was like walking through kitchens. I was like sampling food that like was, you know, all these different types of food that they were creating, and they're all kind of like upscale restaurants. So there was always kind of like food forward, like kind of progressive, like menus and stuff like that. So I kind of got exposure to that like as a kid, and I to be honest, like I think that has played a huge role in like my confidence to talk to chefs. Like I already kind of understand. I already understood like from a long time ago, even from being a kid, like how to talk to chefs, how to talk to people in the restaurant industry, how to talk to restaurant owners, and I've also worked in them, like as a bartender, as a chef, as every level. I've done dishes. I've like been a busser. I've done I've even been like done management. So like I inside and out, I really understand like what the restaurants want more or less. And so I think that anyone that wants to farm should at least get to know a restaurant owner like that they like, if not go and actually work there for a little while. Whether you're front of house or back of house or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but you'll get a much better understanding of like who these people are and what they want and what they expect, and it really helps out a lot.
Yeah, having all of his like knowledge of that really,
it's almost essential.
Helped us a lot, because I'd never worked in restaurants. I didn't know anything about that. So having like just even the knowledge of knowing like what time of day to like go in and talk to somebody versus not, you know, like knowing like somebody may think like, oh, I'll go talk to somebody in the afternoon, you know, like, okay, say like I used to think, oh, I just got off of work. I used to get off of work at like 3, 4, you know, and then that would put me, say I would be like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to somebody after work, which is then going into like a dinner time rush situation.
Yeah, which is a terrible
time to go talk to somebody. You know, like you're never gonna be able to. Yeah. So just like even like small things like that, just knowing when somebody's even gonna give you the time of day.
Right. You're gonna start off on the wrong foot.
It makes a difference, because they're probably gonna be irritated that you're coming in talking to them at 4:30 as they're trying to like, you know, get ready for this and like.
Yeah, chefs are artists more or less. So, you know, you think about artists and, you know, they have a tendency to be, they're artists. So, you know, they're moody and they're, you know, that's just the reality of it.
There's a lot going on.
And they've got a lot going on. They're trying to change the world. So like, you know, that's what you're dealing with. I think with that being said, that's not our only revenue stream. So like we're doing wholesale accounts, but we're also like doing a CSA, which is like a produce box. It's basically a share.
Since we're community supported agriculture.
Right.
So you're essentially buying a share of our farm.
Right.
And you're supporting us. Like you buying that, box that's like giving us money to put towards growing the things for that box and to put towards, you know, furthering our farm.
It's like a community investor, basically. Like you're investing in our farm more or less, on a really simple, you know, really basic level.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we do that every week too.
What as far as like pitching yourself to restaurants, what tips would you have on that? Like, or what does that conversation sound like? Yeah.
So this was another thing that I learned from Curtis, and he's really good. Like I said, he's a really good person. I think his dad actually owns some restaurants too. But basically, you want to have all your ducks in a row. So you want to have an idea of like what you can and cannot do, and you want to pretty much have that decided beforehand. Another thing that you might want to have is you're going to want to have some kind of document, whether it's printed or email. You know, it just depends on the person. But you're going to want to have like a basic pricing, you know, thing. And then you're going to want to find out like how often they order, what they're looking for, like what they can't get, what they want. And then you're going to basically want to like, you know, hand off that thing and, you know, ask them if they support other local farms or like if they're just ordering from like one large purveyor or something like that. And so you can kind of feel out, you know, some people will be really excited that you're a small local farm and they've never been approached by one. Other people are like, oh, well, you know, that'd be too much work to like have to order different things, especially if you're small. So it really kind of depends, but you know, kind of having everything on your end needs to be pretty clear.
You just have to like have the answers to the questions that you think that they would ask you. Like, when do you deliver? What do you grow? What, you know, and know that you grow things that are on their menu. Like, there's no point in going up to somebody and like, you know, if you don't, they can't even do something from you.
Sure.
Just like, yeah. And knowing too, I guess, being able to gauge beforehand if it's the type of restaurant, like Christian was kind of saying, that would even want to support, you know, a small local farm. And if that's like important to them value wise, because there are some people that like, it's not that I don't think it's not that they don't want to support, but for whatever reason, like a lot of larger restaurants or restaurants that are part of like a group or, you know, somewhere where like maybe the chef isn't the one making like those specific decisions, like you just kind of have to be able to gauge like, is this person actually gonna want to talk to me, or are they able to talk to me, or, you know, is it easier for them to just order from specialty or like Cisco, have it be like one, you know, like a bulk order that they put in every week. But I guess, as far as like pitching ourselves to them.
Yeah, I would say aim for like small owner operated restaurants, or like, you know, maybe like a health food place, or like a small market grocery store type of place where like the owner might be ordering this produce and stuff. Or like the owner might be the chef or something like that. So I think those are kind of like, when you're very first starting off, those are who you're really going to want to target. In terms of like having success selling. Yeah.
We bring samples in.
Oh, yeah.
We do that.
Cool.
Bring samples in so that people can, you know, see and look and feel and taste. We do that a lot. But I'll just like email people, you know, sometimes and be like, hey, we'd like to work with you. You know, if it's honestly, Instagram, we DM people sometimes, just like if it's like a chef or like a smaller coffee shop or restaurant where you can tell that it's like, you know, like a small group of people, or like he said, kind of like the owner is the one that's like running things, or we've had success.
Any chance do you guys use like ads on things? Oh, you do?
Well, we have a Google ad running.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing.
What is that? I haven't used that. Google ads, you said?
Like, basically, how exactly does it come up on the computer? Like, how is it like if somebody types in like keywords in a Google search?
So so the first thing they have to do is like create you have to enroll your business with Google, like Google Business,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's searchable. And like since we have a produce box and everything, we wanted to be on there. And then the next thing is you can basically run an ad on Google that's like anyone searching for whatever words that you want, like for you maybe like podcast, maybe like whatever the common top, like so like spirituality, all the things that you said at the beginning, those would kind of be your keywords.
Yeah.
And then
you pick like there's like 15 keywords or something, I think, that they have you pick and type. And that's supposed to be like the sweet spot of.
And so like when it happens on the search engine side of things, those are the keywords that cool.
Yeah. And then they run your ad until you get a certain amount of clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's for like a month. So like they will guarantee like somewhere between like 700 and 1100 clicks, like for like $15. And that's not like an actual number. I'm just kind of like giving you an idea. But in terms of like, and then you can also choose your demographic a little bit too. So like people between this age and this age, people that are living in this area, whatever your demographic is, you can kind of like specifically kind of target those people. So I think Instagram and Facebook, they have kind of the same thing too.
Mm-hmm. That's like the next
thing.
Yeah,
that's what I kind of sort of use for my sister and I's business, but we haven't really done Google yet. So thanks. I'll add that to the list of ad engines I use.
Yeah, that like Facebook one up. We just set up our online shop on Instagram that's like linked to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, and you guys also have merch now. That's a great idea. I have the shirt. Yeah, I should have worn mine. I wish I thought about that. Yeah, I love it. I love your artwork, Christian. I think it's great. It's really cool to see that you're putting it out there because you're talented. I was telling Jess when we were moving everything, I was like, oh my gosh, your art is so cool.
I appreciate that.
It is. In that way, like doing these t-shirts and stuff is almost like just kind of more fun, and like because it's all, it's nothing that we're like, what should we put on a t-shirt? It's like stuff that he's like drawn. That's really cool.
So the drawings come first, and then you think like, oh, this one should go on.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I really enjoy your style. I haven't seen much like it, so. Cool. I'm like nervous. I'm not going in order. I don't want to go out of order, but
it's fine.
I just I kind of like
no, I get you. You're planning in your head.
kind of type A a little bit. So.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It probably helps a lot when you're planning for like the farm and stuff. So
yeah, that's what business is all about. Is developing systems that can scale. In my opinion.
I agree. What do you think has helped you so far?
Well, we have on-farm systems and off-farm systems. So that's like our first delineation. So the on-farm systems are things like task cards, something that we have everything written down. Any task that might need to happen on the farm, it's down to every single detail, diagram, and like step by step. If you're gonna plant lettuces, you're gonna need to use this seeder with like laying down this many seeds in this many rows and at this spacing, and then you're gonna want to add this much compost or like whatever it is. So like having that, so anyone, even a volunteer, could come and it's like it's like
right now it's us two, that are primarily doing all the work, so it's not that big of a deal. But we do have like a couple people that come in volunteers, so like. Making it as easy as possible for anybody who's coming to help, to feel like they can be okay, like working by themselves or
It's like a recipe.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for when you grow. Like,
exactly.
Then you already have your manual book,
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
We're thinking about that now.
Right.
And thinking about, in the future, because we do want to grow. We do want to, employ people. And so how can we make that as easy as possible to transition into that type of
Yeah, so that's our on-farm kind of system. We also have like maps, and like we're always constantly thinking about Like, where does the greenhouse need to be? Like, how wide does the door need to be if we're carrying buckets, or like if we're doing this? So like just kind of being conscious of every system. And also,
and this has been too through like trial and error.
Yeah.
Like things
We've just messed up more than a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's how you learn though, right?
It is.
It's how you learn.
Like, you know, one thing that you realize you did wrong, then you get mad about it, and then you're like, all right, well, the next time we do it, you got to do it like this, and then just like, all right, this is how, you know.
Yeah, I think like I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is like really how successful you are is like based on how much you're willing to learn. Like, you know, I think there's like a certain point of life, which sounds so simple, but like there's a certain point of life where people think it's done, where they think your learning is done. And it's like, it just starts. Like, I thought I was done learning after college for like a good 2 years. And then I was like, no, like, you know, in order to really be successful at anything, you have to like really be honing in on your skills, like you said earlier, and sharpening them always.
Really good at. He watches so many YouTube videos about things and reads books and reads articles, and video for him is like, I feel like the easiest, or just like listening to something.
Yeah.
I like I have a whole playlist of books. I think since March, this isn't like incredible or anything, but just like self-help books, I think I've read like over 30.
Nice. Yeah.
And that's just like self-confidence, like, you know, all the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And I would love to share that so that everyone that is in your audience would be able to listen to them, because I really think that everyone needs to read these books. You know, and
I would love to. What's your playlist on?
It's on YouTube, and I can share it with you. And like you can put a link.
I'll add the link to the show notes for sure.
Yeah, but it's pretty like, you know, I would not be able to do what I'm doing had I not read some of these books and found out about some of these just wise people that kind of have paved the way of industry, really, and also just
these are things too. I feel like these are like ideologies and the things that they talk about in these books that are applicable to like really any facet of
it's not about farming.
It's not farming specific, it's not business specific. Some of them I guess are technically, but what usually each author kind of like boils his point down to is the fact that anything starts with you and your mindset and your willingness to either like, you know, push yourself to be where you want to be and to be successful, or, you know, to be the type of person you want to be, or to be confident, or you know. But yeah, so literally everything, I would say almost all of them though, come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You as not even necessarily like the problem, but just like you also as the solution. Just like your thought processes and your just like your mindset, how really stressing how powerful that is, and like how essential that is to success, is like to have, you know, the right mindset to get yourself there.
Yeah, it's all about like shifting. Well, I was just writing this in my journal like right before we got on, but I was just talking to myself about like shifting my desires and my wants. Because once you shift that, like once you make it something you really want to do, like I want to go work out, or I want, like, you know, once your desires shift, then it's like, I don't know, it's a little bit more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people can check out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's perfect.
YouTube has helped us a lot.
Yeah, YouTube. I mean, straight up, like that's everything. Like it's got it all.
Yeah, and you guys are starting. I'm sorry, Jess. What?
YouTube and like reading books.
Mm-hmm. I agree. For myself as well. And you guys are starting, or you already have started your own course, Christian, on growing marijuana. Do you want to give a little plug, a little info about it?
Sure. Yeah, it's just a 101 kind of course, really basic. It's for someone that just wants to try it and grow some stuff that they can have and use, and you know, it's based on like soil growing, so that's kind of maybe like one specific thing. So like you can grow it on your deck. You can do it in your yard, whatever is for you. Obviously, if you're in a state that's legal, or if you're ballsy, you can do it. I've done. I mean, maybe I can't say that. I don't know, but
who knows?
Maybe I have. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's just a really simple course. We kind of just break down step by step so that you can have success your first year, more or less.
Cool. That's great. That's a great resource. I told Kempton, I was like, I might buy it for you for your birthday. It's coming up in February. So we'll see. Yeah. He's definitely like looking to get into that. So that's a great resource. So thank you guys for that. What can we expect from you guys in the future in the farm?
I don't know. I mean, obviously we want to expand.
Yeah.
We're going to get our own land eventually. We're renting land right now from like best people ever.
How did you guys find it? Craigslist?
Yeah, I know. I feel like we skipped, which is really where it all began.
All right, let's talk about the Hillcrest house. We're going back. I can edit this too and move things around. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. So yeah, really when we moved into that house was, I feel like, when things kind of like changed for us and like got rolling. And that was like having our own space to actually grow on the ground was, that was like the change. And that was like the point at which we were like, okay, now we actually have the room to grow things for people in restaurants, and we were able to go in and talk to people. We did the farmers market even for like,
oh yeah,
or something. We did the Hillcrest farmers market. We were out there with like this little table, and we were just like, like just us two, like talking to people. We grew at a few different places in Escondido. It was mostly just like people, which has been really great for us too, like people giving us a chance to like grow on their land.
Yeah.
Just like giving us the opportunity to like, taking a chance. Or us helping people, then being like, oh, will you build a garden for us? Or will you like, there's a couple people like that were like, oh, like they saw what we were doing at Liberty Station in the little raised beds and were like, oh, could you build something like this for us? And we were like, yeah, sure. So
that sounds like a cool service to offer.
Yeah, and we met some like really great people like that. We grew at this one farm in Escondido, which is where we got our dog.
Yeah.
Not very long, and it turned out that the ground and the land was like just not that good for growing in, actually. But we've got
what is good ground to grow in? Like, I guess I should know this, but
well, I mean, the ground the soil that we have here at the farm is like very clayey, a lot of clay. So, and stuff grows in it. Okay, there's things that grow really well in it, but we've added a lot of things to it too. Lots of compost and like mushroom compost, wood chip, like just.
Yeah. How does one start their own compost? Do you just start saving stuff, or do you have to do something? Does that make sense? Okay.
It's just really like food scraps. And it's kind of like a pile, and you definitely want to have a lid on something. And then also it's like dried leaves and like twigs and like wood chips. So it's a 4-to-1 ratio. So for every like cup of food scraps that you put in there, you're going to want to put in like 4 cups of dried leaves or wood chips or something like that in order for it to start breaking down. And then a lot of times some worms and stuff will get in there, and then in a couple months it they break it down and it becomes soil, more or less.
Oh, I had no idea. I literally just thought it was scraps, and I never understood that.
Yeah, I think of it as like, and I've read this too, that people really think of it as like you have like your browns and your greens. And you have to have like 4 browns to one greens.
Yeah.
And that's like, but.
And there's some animal products in there. It's just like veggies and bread and stuff like that. There's no like you gotta
do like
bones or anything.
you could do
you do like
eggshells,
eggshells,
yeah.
so like not like meat.
I mean, you could even
dairy.
technically do bones, I guess, but you don't. Yeah, like meat and dairy and stuff are not really. It just brings in different types of bacteria and stuff, which is like, yeah, you don't want them. Yeah.
And so if I have just like a patio garden, would having a compost help me?
It could. I would probably not. Personally, I probably wouldn't do it on a patio simply because
I might attract something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not supposed to smell.
Yeah, but
if you do it right. But we have done it on patios.
Yeah, if you've got a big backyard, then
funky.
For sure, it doesn't matter.
Not enough browns.
But you know, if you want to sit out on your patio, there's for stink. So.
All right. Yeah. And then what was there step 3?
We moved to Virginia.
Oh yeah.
We moved to Virginia for 6 months. And his parents had some land that they were letting us use.
I had no idea you guys were growing out there, or maybe it just slipped my mind. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that too, I feel like that was like another like bigger step up because that was the most land that we'd ever worked with. And we got a greenhouse there. And we started growing in a greenhouse, which we now have here too. We brought it back out here. We learned a lot over there.
Yeah, don't expand too quickly. Like start small.
Yeah,
start small.
Yeah, like it's as a small grower, you know, like anyone who's watching this most likely doesn't have access to like millions of dollars. So like this is relevant. I think it's better to start in a very, very, very small space, even with like a couple pots, and maximize what you have rather than like trying to do twice as much. Because chances are you can grow twice as much in what you're already growing. Like that's generally what I've noticed, especially if you take care of the soil and you're like adding compost and adding nutrients to your soil. And, you know, your soil is like a medium, and that medium is basically exactly what it is. It's just a medium. So you can bring in whatever life you want to that soil. So basically, you know, if you treat that medium like you're constantly want to be feeding that medium and adding as much diversity into that medium as possible, so that you can get, you know, basically everything is like taking and giving underneath the soil. So like,
yeah. So I guess when you ask like, what is good soil? I mean,
yeah, it's
all about. Because like the soil that we grow in here is so different than the soil in Virginia.
Yeah.
It kind of just depends on like what you do with it and what you add to it and what you.
Just remembering that it's alive and that it has needs, you know. And I think that's kind of like that's so true for farming and like just the planet in general. Like I think people treat it like it's something that's dead, or like that it's like it's not alive. When in reality, like the earth is so alive and the soil's so alive. And I think people they don't. I think there's a big misconception that it's like it doesn't matter and you don't have to do anything to it. It's a constant, just like you need to be fed, it needs to be fed as well. On any, you know, whether it's in your pot or if it's in the ground or whatever.
Yeah, same as like your body. You know, like if you're lacking like nutrients, like that can be possible. Same, like the soil can be lacking in certain nutrients that would make it
composition.
Or composition that
so I guess it's just all about keeping the balance of things so that they can like flourish.
Exactly.
Cool. And that was kind of like too what I was saying earlier about how like, you know, you like when you observe and stuff and you realize like the processes and the patterns and the, you know, circles of life that exist. It's just like kind of crazy.
It's cool.
When you realize that, like, the earth, like, you know, even in soil, that,
I get you. What's next in the story? So you guys then moved to Virginia. You got the most land. What did you learn? What was a takeaway from that experience? Well, it was. Oh, sorry.
So yeah, we were working, you know, like 5 days a week, and then had 4 or 5 days, like actual jobs. and then would go to his parents' house where the land was that we were working on. And we would farm for 2 days out of the week.
No breaks.
Yeah, and we just like, dang. We learned so much during that time, but I think by the end of it, we were there for 6 months, and we kind of just like worked ourselves to like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta take some breaks. That's definitely a good lesson that we learned out of that.
Yeah, and we were trying to I feel like we were trying to do a lot of things. Like, yeah, we were trying to farm, but we're only able to be there like 2 days out of the week. And then would get like discouraged when we would come back a week later, and then like, you know, something would happen, or like, I don't know, you know, like we just weren't able to be actually at the farm enough to keep things like running properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were growing microgreens out of our apartment in the city, and we were selling those to restaurants too. So that was like a whole nother thing that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, so then we would like leave those for a few days at a time and then come back. And then,
yeah, just a lot of,
it was just a lot of like things that we were trying to do.
Yeah.
More things.
And then you guys came back, and how did you get the ball rolling again? Because you guys kind of had to. Did you guys end up living in the Hillcrest house again? No, right? You guys had to kind of restart, right? Yes.
It was for rent again, or it was for sale. No, it was for rent again. And right as we were coming back, we were driving back across the country, and I called them, and I was like, hey, I saw that this house is for rent again. Remember we used to live here. I was just wondering, like, what are the odds that we could, like, get rent back in there? And they were like, oh, we actually rented it, like, literally yesterday.
Dang. It just wasn't meant to be. Plus, your spot now is, oh my gosh, gorgeous.
Yeah. So then when we got back, we lived in Bankers Hill in an apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we went to Northern California.
Yeah, we took okay, so yeah,
you guys are chilling.
We were, like I said, we worked ourselves to the freaking bone, and we took a month off, and we're taking a road trip, and it was like, this was like the middle of summer in Virginia too, and it was so hot and humid, and we like missed the ocean, and we missed our friends, and we just like we were just really hot.
Yeah, and you guys came back.
Yeah, and so we came back, and yeah, we took a month off. We road tripped. We drove back across the country, drove up and down the coast, all the way to Northern California to like Fort Bragg.
Yeah, that experience taught us a ton.
Yeah, what did you guys learn? You were camping too for a while, huh?
Yeah, we camped for like a month.
That's pretty cool.
We're done.
Yeah, but like, yeah, we were like, all right. We tried to move up there actually, and open space up there. There's like a lot of like farmland, a lot of space that like you don't really realize like living in Southern California, because like I'm from California. I've never really been that far north before, and it's like a whole different world, like in a really cool way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were like, oh dang, maybe we should live here. So we tried to like get a place there, and that was harder than we thought it was gonna be, and so we ended up coming back down. And and then we just lived in like a regular apartment for a bit while we were kind of trying to figure out, you know, how to get land and that was like that took us like a few months when we moved back. We were just like searching on Craigslist and on, I don't know, anybody that
is Craigslist mostly the way to find land? Like, I guess, like, is there no resource right now for farmers to find land?
There are, but they're not.
Are they outdated?
For renting, I feel like it's harder for renting, because like obviously right now, like we don't have, you know, we couldn't, and especially too, we didn't have the money to buy land at the time.
Oh yeah. So, but even renting, I would think. Well, I guess. I don't know what the numbers of farmers are like, but I would just think that there would be more, like, you know, but anyway, that's just me thinking. But that would be like kind of cool to like have like I don't know, a farming app or something.
Yeah, that would have been super helpful to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most farmers are really old, and most land in California is very expensive. So you can those are pretty big obstacles, to be honest. And it takes a little bit of razzle dazzle to you got to give them the old 1-2 to really find it.
Yeah.
And, you got to seriously, if you want to farm, here's to someone who wants to farm. Just start with everyone that you know. Just ask every single person, just you have a backyard. Do you know someone that has a backyard? And then that's
we were texting people and just being like, hey, does your grandpa have land? So at Escondido or whatever, can we use it?
Or go work on a farm.
Yeah.
Truthfully. And
what was that?
Or just go work on a farm.
Yeah.
And start there. And that's looking back, I would do that looking back on it. I would have done that for a couple of years. But but obviously
I don't different path.
Yeah, but
For sure. And then sorry, what, Jess?
I was just saying, I think a lot of people do that. It's very common practice to for younger farmers to go work on at least a farm or two before starting.
Yeah, don't waste your money, waste somebody else's money.
Yeah. I mean, it's like interning, kind of.
It is. No, it is.
That's pretty much what
for somebody.
Yeah. But yeah, that's great advice. Don't waste your money, waste someone else's money. So then what came next for you guys? It is great advice. That was serious, not sarcastic.
Basically, the beginning of, I was going to say this year, but we're in January. The beginning of 2020, we met the people that we rent land from now on Craigslist, through Craigslist. I think we just emailed them and then came out here and met up with them, and they showed us, the space. Yeah. And we just kind of talked. We talked for an hour.
Yeah. This was all the land that we could find. Really, this place and another place. The other place wanted $5,000 for an acre, and I was like, yeah, right.
Actually,
sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna say, what are you how much land for anyone trying to just start this? How much are you guys? You don't have to say this if you don't want to, but how much are you paying for how much land? What is a good amount of land and a good price to go with? It could be an estimate, but just I'm curious.
Well, I think since the type of farming that we're doing is not that common, if someone was wondering, I would say, trade your services rather than paying. You can you're going to be if you're farming on somebody's land, even a backyard, you're going to be improving it. And there's little things that you can do. I'm sure there's a couple projects that anybody would have that would make it worth their while, so that when you leave, you've improved that place, whether it be you're buying blocks and outlining beds, or mulching things for them, or planting trees for them that are nice, whatever. So I would just recommend trying to come up with some type of trading agreement rather than monetary. And obviously that's not always possible. But the less you can pay when you're starting off, the better. So I can't really, that's going to be different for everybody and everybody's budget.
So that was good advice.
So I can't really give an exact number like that. That's what we've done here. So we have an arrangement kind of where they're retired. We watch over their house. We feed their cat. We make sure we just kind of watch over the property. And also we have done a number of landscaping projects that have improved, just the overall property value, really.
Yeah. That's sweet for them. That's really cool.
We've just kind of made our relationship like that, where anything that they need help with, they'll be like, hey, can you help us chop branches off this tree? Can you mow this? Mow the
lawn. It's a big lawn, so
this whole property, the entire property is 2 acres, but the portion that we have is half.
Yeah, it's just under half an acre, and maybe about a quarter acre of usable space. So
cool.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know, that's kind of how we've done it here, which has been a big help to us, because before, how much are we paying?
It was $200 a month for half an acre, I think.
Yeah. So when we did that, obviously when you're starting off farming, if you're planting directly into the ground, like it's gonna be a while before, you know, your stuff pops up and before you're able to sell things and make money.
At least 2 months.
Yeah.
At least 2 months, you know, at least. So, you know,
That'll kind of put you back.
The least amount that you can pay in the beginning is going to be, you know, that's just going to help you out.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, if you're not if you're not making money off of it yet, good for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would save up a good, you know, chunk of change. Or get credit cards or whatever you need to do.
Yeah. And then what came after? So now we're here. You have this land. What's like, I think we talked a little bit about what's next for you guys, but you offer the course now. Is that something you guys are looking to do more in the future of different courses or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that last night.
Yeah, we've kind of come up with like a pretty cool marketing plan. And so, and also just kind of like developing our company. And there's a couple different things happening with that. One thing is we're trying to go after a contract with a restaurant group that's making vegan fast food chain. And so we're trying to kind of they're kind of copying the McDonald's model. And so we kind of contract and grow with them using their investors' money to basically, like using hydroponics, we want to grow like all of the, we basically want their greens business and, you know, pretty much be their sole purveyor and kind of grow as they grow. I think they've got like 11 locations now. So that's kind of the farm side. And then on the other
major. That's cool.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the other side, we're trying to turn our business into an internet company as well. So, you know, like we're creative people, like there's a lot of people educating and that's a passion of mine, but there's not a lot of people that are, you know, making it entertainment also, I don't think. So we're kind of trying to figure out how to do that, using some of our resources like in LA and some of the, you know, videographer and photographers and stuff to kind of like tell our story. And also like with the courses, like we have the salad club, like we were saying, the produce boxes. So kind of our plan for that is we've been making like a weekly menu for every week we put a menu in the box, which is just a menu. And then on the back, we've been doing like tips and tricks. And it's kind of just like little things that we do on our farm. And so what we kind of realized was this week we forgot to print it. So we sent it out on an email. And what I kind of came to was that, you know, we could have like in today's day and age, you can have like a physical farm, but you can also have like a digital farm. And you know, how can we be on our farm educating people, like holding up a carrot, and then you're in like Tokyo holding up a carrot on a rooftop in like a raised bed or something.
Yeah.
You know, how do we make it like this interactive sort of experience where we've got a digital location that people like come and trust and want to like work with?
Just kind of like forming a community in that sense. Like how can we, and you know, yeah, like how can we, using the people that we know, the skills that we have, being the people that we are, which I think, yeah, like you said, like I don't think we're probably the typical farmers.
You're artists, yeah. You really are.
People that we are, how can we make something that's different and that's, you know, like that people want to be a part of, but that's also like educational and, you know, valuable, like bringing value to people's lives, and that we're teaching them skills, essential skills. Yeah.
And adding value to our existing customers by teaching them how to cook, like with like, you know, like we offer, like, for example, we offer turnips in our CSA.
I was going to say, yeah, what's in the box, just so they know.
Yeah, like so each week we get like some root vegetables, maybe some tomatoes, some peppers, like some salad, some microgreens, different things. And a lot of times people are like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't know what to do with it. So we kind of, going along with that online like location, what we're trying to do is basically like teach people like, this is actually how it grows. This is what you're eating, and then this is how you eat it. And so we're trying to kind of change, like, you know, the way people think about food, like from start to finish. So whether that be them actually growing it in their garden, or whether it be them learning how to cook it, and just kind of like changing diets, and just, it's just kind of all, it seems like it's all one thing. And we're like, why don't we just try and tackle this whole beast rather than only being a farm that sells like at a farmer's market or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a new type of, it's like a modern company, basically. It's like what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Man, it sounds exciting. It sounds cool. You guys have a lot of good ideas. I'm excited to see where it grows. Like, I'm just happy to be your friends because, like, you guys are so cool. I lost my train of thought, but that's really cool. Yeah. I want to hear the business story. We have to before we close it up. Christian, I'm talking to you. When you were talking about Donna Jean and that, I think you said you had like something else to say. If you forgot it, don't worry.
Yeah. That's that's the they're partners with Plant Power.
Oh, okay. Oh, and this is this the okay?
Yeah, I think that was what I was trying to say. It's like, kind of that's like a goal of ours is to.
So yeah, that's all one big restaurant group, basically.
I see. I always thought they were separate.
They are, but they're
like business partners or in
cool.
There. Yeah. They share like packaging facilities, and they share distribution, stuff like that. So they've been looking for like a fifth member, which would basically be the produce side. And we've worked really closely with Roy ever since, you basically got me to go in there. And, I've worked for him. I've, basically been kind of his, like, somebody that he can call up like the day of and be like, hey, like, I need somebody to come in. This dude's sick, or this person doesn't want to come in, or this person quit, and I need you to wash dishes. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so
that's how you make connections, right?
That is, if you serve other people, like, you can pretty much just about write your ticket. So
I couldn't agree more.
The whole thing to the story is like, now we're really aggressively going after this, basically becoming like their primary purveyor, like for that entire restaurant group, and hopefully helping them get like coast to coast and being their farmer. Like, so we would have multiple locations. There's a company called Gotham Greens, which one of the guys who helped us farm here, his brother actually works there. But the model of their company, maybe you could have a link to this too. That's we're going to kind of like do a similar model to kind of tag along.
They do hydroponic growing.
Yeah, they do hydroponic growing.
Yeah. What is hydroponics? Just for me and for everyone else.
Yeah.
So you're not growing in soil. You're growing in like a nutrient solution.
Is it like those things, kind of like the tower where you could have
the tower? You could do it in a tower, but it's usually like in like a greenhouse or a warehouse, some sort of like environmentally controlled area. And the roots of the plant sit in this growing solution, so there's no soil involved at all.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of sit up off I guess it doesn't have to sit up off the ground, but this is like the systems that we've been looking at, and that I feel like sits kind of like up, and they just are in like rows.
It's a way more predictable way to farm. It's a way better way to. It's a way simpler way for an investor to digest, because you can predict exactly how much you're going to grow, and you can know beforehand exactly. It's just much more controlled. It's much more controlled. So basically, like, we're going to keep our soil farm, and we're going to always keep on educating people on that. Yeah. But in terms of like production, like actual production for like a restaurant, like especially one that could end up, becoming a pretty large corporation, we want to be able to,
grow with them.
And the only way that I really view that to be possible is to have something that's predictable,
consistent.
Yeah. So
nice.
We're seeking investment for that now, apparently.
Cool. Okay. Put that out there. That's good. What were you going to say, Jess?
Just that, like growing in the soil is something that we always want to do. You know, like when we teach people things, I feel like that's always what we'll teach. I mean, I guess we can teach people how to farm if they want to know that. But like obviously knowing how to grow in the soil is like
that comes
so
first.
important. That comes first always. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to do that, then it's what. Like so which is kind of crazy because like with the way that technology is like advancing now and stuff, and like the things that you could do in farming, the things that you can do like in farming, like I feel like things that like the Dutch are doing, or just like like European people, I don't know. Like you can get super advanced with it. You can get like really technological with it.
And I can only imagine how it could change too, like in the years to come. Like who knows what will be possible for farming.
Right. And so I think we should never lose sight of like the basics. Ever.
Yeah.
Super
definitely.
Important. But if you have the ability to, grow more, be more productive, be more consistent, be more, whatever, it's kind of like, then why wouldn't you do that also?
Yeah, just like to benefit yourself. I feel like that's where I'm at this year, is just like trying to be more disciplined and more consistent with like what I'm working at, like as I work on things. Yeah. So where can our listeners find you at?
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram's our primary handle, Lindfors Farms.
So Lindfors Farms on Instagram, and I'll add that also on there, and then I'll do your website. Was there any other plugs you want me to put in? I know the playlist I'll get, and then
like if I think of anything else, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, send it over my way. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.